Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new episode of Sports Insight with your host Alamdar Khan. And yes, as you know, we give you information with regards to the sports world and from all across the world to be precise. So yeah, what we can do is we can surely tell you more details, and not to forget that you guys can surely reach out to us on our social media handle, which is @ Indus News Sports. That basically works both for Instagram and Twitter. But anyways, we'll go to the headlines first. Yes, from the world of NBA, Harden notches 12th triple-double as Nets beats the Wolves 112-107. And yes, from the world of football, Poland beats Andorra in the FIFA World Cup qualifier 3-0. And yes, from the world of Formula One, Hamilton won against Verstappen by 0.5 seconds during the Bahrain Grand Prix. And yes, from the world of tennis, Barty defeated Azarenka by 6-1, 1-6, 6-2 in the Miami Open on Monday. And yes, those were the headline guys. And yes, we definitely talk about sports from all across the globe. And the interesting part is that, as discussed in the headlines, we're surely going to start with the world of NBA. And in the world of NBA, we talked about how Brooklyn actually managed to beat the Wolves 112-107. And to discuss more in-depth analysis, we have with us Jack Maloney. Jack, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me back on.
Great. All right, so I'd start with definitely, as discussed earlier, we're talking about the victory of the Brooklyn Nets, how they managed to beat the Wolves 112-107. James Harden managed to score 38 points, 13 assists and 11 rebounds. And not to forget that Kyrie Irving actually managed to score 27 points after his return because he's been missing games. And we can surely go on to why up till now Kevin Durant is still not on the list again because of this injury that has happened. So we've only seen the duo and have not really seen the trio. So your take on this victory?
Yeah, no, that was a pretty fun game. It's been a tough season for the Wolves so far, but they really made the Nets battle in this one. And like you mentioned, we saw the best from James Harden, triple-double.
Yeah.
Tied the franchise record already, which is pretty amazing. His 12th triple-double, and he's only been there, a few months. So that just, shows you what level he's at right now. And then, yeah, again, Kyrie Irving back after missing a few games, had a great game. And right, it has been a little strange because they finally get this, big three, and then between, Kyrie's injury, Durant's injury, we haven't really seen them all together, a whole lot. So it's been a little bit of a work in progress, but the fact that they're this good without all three of them just shows, when they do get healthy, it's going to be a really big problem for whoever they face in the playoffs.
Right. And if we look back, I still remember how James Harden was actually pushing the idea of having Kevin Durant on the team, and he had been asking for it for a while. But yet again, we still have no idea or where the trio could have or will take the Brooklyn Nets. So my question yet again would be like, how do you see, even though like you said they're doing pretty awesome, they're doing pretty well, but what if the trio never worked? For instance, if he comes back on board and they start playing, do you think the trio would work? Or obviously the duo is working perfectly fine for now for the Brooklyn Nets?
Yeah, they can't complain right now. They're almost got back into first place in the East, but I think that Durant is such a seamless fit with really whoever he plays with. We saw him with the Warriors fit in with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. So I really don't think that would be an issue at all for him to come back because he can play off the ball, he can play on the ball. That's not really an issue. He's a great shooter. So when he gets back, I don't think there would be an issue of trying to fit in or anything like that. And it's just going to give them more firepower, make them more difficult to guard.
Right. Switching from obviously Brooklyn Nets, we'll surely come back to them again. I want to ask about the Houston Rockets trade Victor Oladipo to Miami Heat on Thursday. And we just wanted to see and discuss how Victor Oladipo led the Houston Rockets to their fourth win. What's your take on this for now?
Yeah, I mean that was one of the big trades. It was a busy trade deadline last week, but there weren't, for as many trades as there weren't a ton of huge names on the move,
Right.
and Oladipo is certainly one of them. He really hasn't had a great season since he came back from his injury last year. He's not really looked like himself. Um, but for the Heat, they're trying to make a playoff push. They've had a little bit of a weird season themselves, so I think it was definitely worth a shot to bring in a talented player like Oladipo and hope that a change of scenery, a different system, somewhere where he doesn't have to be the main guy, and
Right.
see if that can sort of rejuvenate him a little bit because he is a good perimeter scorer when healthy. He can guard as well, and so if you're the Heat trying to make a jump, and really contend with some of the best teams in the East this season, a healthy Oladipo could possibly get you there. Um, we haven't really seen that this season from Oladipo, but again, like they didn't really give up too much, so I think it was definitely worth a shot for the Heat.
Right. And as you mentioned that, the 25th was probably the last date, if I remember, for the trades. So there were major trades that actually took place. So obviously,
Hmm.
Oladipo surely being one of them. So what is your take
Yep.
on the overall trade perspective that really happened? And was because I know it's going to be the trade will not happen again until the next year. So how do you see the major trades that actually took place? I mean, like any particular one that you're looking forward to for now, or you think that this trade will surely add value to the club that actually they went to.
Yeah, definitely. I think the biggest one for me is the Denver Nuggets trading for Aaron Gordon. Um, I think he asked for a trade out from the Magic, and the Nuggets were able to get him from a number of different teams who were trying to trade for Gordon, and I think it's going to be really interesting to watch Gordon play with Nikola Jokic, um, just because Gordon I think has been stuck in Orlando where he's sort of been forced to be the main guy, and create on offense by himself, be a main scorer. And I just don't really think that's what he's best at. Um, Now he's in Denver where he can play off the ball. He can uh, take passes from Jokic off the cuts. Play defense, spot up shooting. I think that's going to be a really good fit for both parties. The Nuggets needed another piece, try to make this playoff push. I think that one's going to be really interesting.
Right.
And then we saw, the Celtics traded for Evan Fournier from the Magic. They needed a scoring boost off the bench. Um, Fournier actually went 0 for 10 in his first game, so that wasn't a good start. But I think overall that one will work out well. And then another Magic trade. They traded Nikola Vucevic to the Bulls. Um, we'll see how the Bulls do. It's only been a few games so far, but Vucevic should give them, a huge scoring boost in the front court, and it's going to be really fun to watch him play with Zach LaVine, who made his first All-Star game this season. I mean, those are the main ones for sure that I think are going to be important for the playoffs.
Well, there was this one particular trade of the Cavaliers, from what I remember, and right now, obviously, they're also on fire. They apparently won like consecutive 6 games, and not only that, if not only Cavalier, we can also talk about the injury part. Let's get to the serious part right now because I still remember a lot of injuries that have happened in the last playoffs, and because of that, if you look at, as discussed earlier, as Kevin Durant is injured, not only him, I think there's Stephen Curry got injured, LeBron James injured. So how do you see this and their evolution? Because I think it's been a while for Kevin Durant to come back, but LeBron James also got injured as well. What's your take on that?
Yeah, so that was a little over a week ago. LeBron suffered a sprained ankle. It was a loose ball. They were playing the Hawks, and Solomon Hill tried to dive for a loose ball and rolled up on LeBron's ankle. Um, and usually, when an ankle sprain, it's goes to the outside.
Right.
Well, LeBron's got pinned the other way, so his leg sort of turned inward, and you know you don't really see LeBron get hurt too much. So when you saw him, screaming in pain like that, it was more just like a shock, because we're just so used to him being so durable and showing up every single night, and it's just kind of, I mean, it's important for the Lakers, or it's without him, but overall it's just sort of like the strange feeling to see LeBron, hurt. That hasn't happened to him, much in his career. And then, of course, they're already without Anthony Davis. So they're, in a really tough spot right now because we don't know when Anthony Davis is going to be back. LeBron is going to be out for about a month at least. And so they're going to have to navigate a long time without their two stars. And they really built their roster, dependent on those two guys.
As we discussed these injuries, haven't you noticed that recently there have been a lot of injuries in the playoffs in the last season actually?
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a little bit disappointing because we haven't, got to see everyone at full strength all the time. And I think, especially with the COVID protocols, the shortened or condensed season, it just makes it a lot more difficult to stay healthy, to have everyone on the court at the same time, which, it's good that they got the season going and are playing, but at the same time, it hasn't always been the best product because we haven't got to see, like you said, Curry missed last season. Now Klay Thompson's out for the Warriors. Durant, as we already talked about, LeBron, Anthony Davis, like when you have that many of the, top 10, 15 guys out, it does make things, just not as exciting.
All right. Anyways, let's hope things go well. I would definitely want your take on the trade of Oladipo that I earlier discussed. How impactful would this trade be, not only for the team itself, but I would rather want to know more about Oladipo's evolution as a basketballer.
Yeah, Oladipo, we saw, early in his career, he sort of struggled a little bit, trying to find his place. And then when he got traded to the Pacers was when we really saw him take off. He made an All-NBA team, All-Star. There was a playoffs a few seasons ago where he went, toe-to-toe with LeBron.
Right.
Excuse me. Almost led the Pacers to an upset over the Cavaliers. And he was really on the rise. I mean, he was one of the best guards in the Eastern Conference, and then he suffers the quad injury, which keeps him out for an entire year. I mean, he didn't play basketball for over a year.
Right.
And since then, he just hasn't been the same, unfortunately. He's not quite as athletic, just hasn't had the same rhythm on offense. And, when you lose a step, it's just hard for guys like that. We saw him come back in the bubble, and he wasn't that great. Now, with this season early on with the Pacers and the Rockets he's still scoring.
Right.
Scoring like 20 points a game, but he hasn't been very efficient. It's taking him a lot of shots to do that.
Right.
And now, we'll see what happens with the Heat. I think it is going to be interesting because he gets a chance now to play on a contender. And maybe that, is the boost he needs to sort of get back to where he was. We'll see. He won't have to be the main guy anymore, which is, helpful.
Let's hope for the best. Let's hope for the best because sometimes I think the shufflings of or maybe trading or getting into another club actually another team allows you to maybe perform better. Let's hope for the best for him. Your quick take on the current standings on the western side and the eastern side.
Yeah. I'll start with the East. The 76ers without Embiid has been really impressive. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games to so far still hang on to the first spot. And then the Nets are right behind them. And then a few games back, we have the Bucks, who are on a little bit of a losing streak here. But it definitely, those three, the 76ers, the Nets, and the Bucks, they've separated themselves in the East. And then it's sort of everyone else is jumbled up behind them. So that race for the number one seed in the East is going to be really interesting, especially with fans coming back for the playoffs. Home court is going to mean something this season as opposed to, last year when everyone was stuck in the bubble. And then in the West, the Jazz, again, just been the most surprising team all season. 6-game winning streak. They've opened up a 3.5-game lead on first place. And just really impressive from the Jazz. And then, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. We got the Suns, the Clippers, the Lakers.
Yeah. But anyways, let's hope all series, the actual events that actually take place in the further future, go hand on hand for the team who actually performs well. But anyways, thank you so very much, Jack Maloney, for being a part of our show and discussing the world of NBA.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on.
Pleasure. So yes, it was Jack Maloney, and he did discuss the world of NBA and the progresses and the trades and the injuries and the victories. But anyways, we'll take a break, and once we come back from the break, there is more coming up. See you guys after the break. And welcome back from the break. And yes, before the break, we definitely discussed the world of NBA. But we'll surely switch over to the world of football. There have been some major updates with regards to the FIFA qualifier rounds. And let me just add a bit to that. But to further discuss all of that, we have Matt Barlow with us all the way from the UK. He's a very senior journalist with regards to football. Sir, thank you for being on the show.
Hello, thank you.
All right. So, Matt, we'll start off with the qualifier matches for the FIFA. I'll start off with the first match that we're going to discuss would be obviously Poland actually beating Andorra 3-0. And we can surely further discuss the upgradation with regards to Germany winning against Romania and then Switzerland winning against Lithuania.
Yeah, of course. It's strange here in Europe. We've got the World Cup qualifiers started in the last couple of weeks, and we haven't even had the European Championships, which were delayed from last summer. So the World Cup isn't normally coming in before the European Championships, but this year it is, and the big European teams all started last week. Good starts for England and Germany and for Italy, and little surprise results for France and for Holland. There's a lot of interest in Poland and Andorra here because Poland are in London on Wednesday, tomorrow, to play against England. So I don't think it was any surprise to see Poland win. They won 3-0. But the surprise was that they played Robert Lewandowski, their big star. Poland's new manager, Paulo Sousa, said he wanted him to play. Lewandowski played, scored 2 goals, but then was injured, hurt his knee and had to come off, which is a huge blow for Poland. They've already got players down with positive COVID tests, and not only a big blow for Poland, of course, but a big blow for Bayern Munich, who are watching with interest. They think Lewandowski will be out for 10 days approximately, and Bayern Munich have got big games coming up against Leipzig at the weekend, followed by the Champions League game, quarter-final against Paris Saint-Germain. So lots of repercussions from that Andorra game as far as Lewandowski is concerned, and Poland are at Wembley tomorrow night.
Right. So, as you mentioned before, that the knee injury happened, which would definitely be another big blow for the Polish team. What's your take on the German victory against the Romanians? Let's talk about that. 1-0.
Yeah, Germany have started the campaign strongly. Of course, if we remember Russia, it was a terrible World Cup for them. They went there as the holders and went out in the group stage. And Joachim Löw, the manager, has already announced that he won't be there at the World Cup finals. He'll step down as manager, as coach after the Euros in the summer. Right. But a good start for Germany, and another goal for Serge Gnabry, who's proven a real star. I mean, we remember him in the Premier League, where he never really made an impact. Came through Arsenal's youth ranks and spent a year at West Brom on loan. But since he's returned to Germany with Werder and now with Bayern Munich, he's really blossomed. And Germany will be strong, make no mistake. I'm sure they'll be in Qatar and determined to put right the things that went wrong for them in Russia.
But looking at Germany itself as a team, obviously they're a super strong team if we look back into their track record. But as per my expectation, I think we would have expected a better score against Romania.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? It's always difficult. The game was in Bucharest. I think some of the countries who play in the big leagues, and we find this in England also. Sometimes you go to places in Eastern Europe where they now have magnificent stadiums and fantastic facilities compared with maybe even only 10 years ago. But sometimes they find the pitches a little bit slower.
Right.
and a little bit longer, not quite so slick as they are here in the Premier League and probably in the Bundesliga.
Right.
And so those games can be difficult. That you play against teams where they're determined to defend and they know Germany are strong, so they will pack their defence and try to play on the break. I think England found this also in Albania at the weekend, where and I think any sort of win at this stage the qualifying competition goes down as a good result, and Germany will be satisfied with 1-0.
Absolutely.
Maybe they would have liked.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right for the fact that, at the end of it all, it's the qualifying rounds. And this is like getting into the entire perspective. And what's your take on Switzerland, who actually managed to win against Lithuania by 1-0?
Yeah, Switzerland are in a tough group. They've started with 2 wins, and they're in with Italy. Italy have also started 2 wins, so that's going to be tight. And Switzerland qualified really well in most recent qualifying competitions. But the big story from this game concerned the goalposts. I don't know if you guys saw this, but they were about to start the game when they noticed the goalposts were the wrong size. They were too high, 5 to 10 centimetres too high. So they had to take the goalposts out of the ground, go and get some new ones and bring them back. But Shaqiri, the Liverpool striker, Zedran Shaqiri, didn't mind the size of the goals. He scored the only goal. A good win for the Swiss.
Right. So what's your take on, obviously there's a consecutive victory for England so far, and Turkey obviously managed to make their mark as, winning the game to begin with, and they do have a match tonight as well. What's your take on the Turkish team?
I think Turkey were one of the big stories of the first round of qualifiers. That is a brilliant result against Holland. We all know Holland's tradition and strength of depth of their squad, and Turkey won 4-2, and then they've won their first 2 games. So brilliant start by them. They're one of the great enigmas of European football because they constantly produce brilliant players, and they often threaten. They often seem to have a good team coming together, but they've never quite followed it through all the way. They have little flashes like this one maybe, and they're always searching for a little bit more consistency over a longer campaign. Maybe this is the start of another good turn for them.
You never know. Being an underdog, they come up to a point of proving themselves one of the solid teams, as you said before, because, it is surely a brilliant start for Turkey.
A huge footballing country, as you know, and passionate supporters, a brilliant place to play, and hopefully they produce a good team.
Right. But anyways, let's hope all goes well with regards to the FIFA qualifying rounds. We'll surely be in touch with you with regards to the updates in the world of FIFA. Thank you so very much for being a part of the show.
Good to talk to you. Thank you.
Pleasure. So yes, that was the major updates with regards to the world of football. Yes, the qualifier rounds are the interesting ones for the fact that even if you score one goal, a team scores one goal, manages to make that break. And as discussed, Turkey surely is making their mark because of the fact that they have been hosting a lot of Champions League cups as well, and they are very enthusiastically following football. So their football team is pretty much solid. Let's hope the journey goes well. But anyways, that was from the world of football. We'll switch over to the world of Formula One. Yes, from the world of Formula One, Hamilton won against Verstappen by 0.5 seconds during Bahrain Grand Prix. And this is the same Grand Prix that I discussed with you earlier, that, Michael Schumacher's son, Mick Schumacher, also made his debut. Not only that, this was Hamilton's 96th Grand Prix win and his first season's opening victory. And the Russian driver Nikita Mazepin, he actually managed to make that crash on his first F1 debut race, which surely is a sad start for his career. Let's hope all goes well for the future of this young racer. But anyways, this was from the world of Formula One. I'll switch over to the world of tennis. The world of tennis is also interesting. Why? We've always discussed the upgradations and the happenings in the world of tennis. Barty actually managed to defeat Azarenka. Yes, that's exactly how I pronounce it. But anyway, 6-1, 1-6, 6-2 in Miami Open today on Monday. And not only that, Barty advanced in the quarterfinals after dominating the former world number 1. And not only that, the Australian champion Naomi Osaka advanced to Miami Open's quarterfinals. And Naomi Osaka, not to forget, she managed to make her mark in the world of Australian Open, being the champion back there. But anyways, this was the major updates with regards to the world of tennis, and not to forget that there will be further more news coming in from the of tennis. If you guys want to reach out to us, you surely can on our social media handle, which is @Indus News Sports. And as discussed, it works both for Instagram and Twitter. Till then, all of you take good care of yourself, and bye-bye.